Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here today and giving a short speech about my, let's say it, career, or about the last 20 years. Just waiting for the slides. First, to start, I'm from Munich originally, so I'm really happy and proud to be here again. And I will start. Is it okay? Yeah. So the main theme is of the talk today. It always seems impossible until it's done, because that was a main key learning for me. That was a school picture a long time ago, and just a short introduction for myself. That's me. I was very shy, and I'm still very shy. To give you a short introduction, that are my grades, and in the school I was very bad in that time. So I didn't pass exam. For me it was always hard to learn stuff, to learn new things. I failed several times. I didn't pass the next grade in school, and so on. I was not able to go to the next class. I was at the secondary modern school. In Bayern we call it Hauptschule. It was always hard for me to get track record and to learn faster. Just to check, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't pass all the exams, but a main learning for me was from my parents, from my father. He told me all the time, if you start something, you will do your best, and then you finish it. You start something, you do your best, and then you finish it. And that I've learned, and I've tried all the time. Even if it was hard and I was not succeeding, I try to get it to the next stage. And so during my school career, in the first step, I've done the first school, and then I've done the second school, and the third school, and then I went to university. But I will tell you furthermore about that. My teachers always said to me, you have to learn and to learn to get better degrees and better degrees. But it was always hard for me, and it was always, I had always a bad feeling about my parents, about the teachers, and about my colleagues in school. It was always hard for me, and my teachers told me I have to do something very basic. I have to do something working in a bakery or that kind of stuff. But my inner feeling always told me I don't want that. And it took me a couple of years of getting over this and getting the next step. And so I studied and learned. I start something, I do my stuff, and then I finished it. And now I'm here. That's currently my current degree from the academic side. So I've done the PhD in medical science. I've done a Master of Science in Systems Engineering. I have an engineering degree with micro and nanotechnologies and all that different kinds of stuff. I've studied 1 year astrophysics to get that spirit of continuously learning, because I've never stopped learning, because I'm so interested in new stuff and learning different kinds of stuff. And I will show you why, for me, and hopefully for you, it's so important to see different kinds of knowledge, different kinds of industry, and to continuously learn. So if you are learning and if you want to proceed and go further on into the business world, you go to the certain stage that you have to decide if you're working in finance and controlling, in IT and digital, in marketing, sales, or in science or logistics. That's some rough overview where you can work on. But you also have to decide in which industry currently you are working. Are you working for Daimler or BMW in the automotive area, or if you work in travel, or in that different sectors where you are interested in what you like to do. And that's the normal process as you do your career, as you stop, or if you have your degree and then you step further on. That's normally the field where you are working in. And I think it's interesting to think about, to give you an idea what this has to do with technology, with data, and with machine intelligence. And I'll give you some examples so that you understand why it's so important to think about additionally to your learning and to your continuous education about technology, data, and artificial intelligence. These are two numbers. If you work in the future, for example, in marketing and sales, there are two numbers. It's 30% and 70%. And I will tell you what are the 30%. 30% is your knowledge about marketing and sales. That's the basic stuff. You learn how to do a marketing campaign, how you structure a campaign, how you do the advertising. That's the 30% of your knowledge. The other kind of knowledge, which I learned from Axel Springer and all these kinds where I educate all my colleagues, 70% is the technology knowledge. Because currently you need more and more technology knowledge to fulfill your marketing knowledge. Because if you do not know something about technology, how marketing and ad server and display advertising, at Facebook, at YouTube and all that stuff, how this is working from the technology side, you could not work in it. So that's why it's so important to have both sides. You need technology and you need your knowledge about the principles and your tasks you need to do. So that's changing. In the past it was all about your knowledge you learned about during school or during your education about marketing. That's one side. But currently I see a lot of colleagues who are missing the technology part, and they could not succeed and they could not be successful in their job in marketing because they lacked the technology knowledge and they could not dig into, they could not switch, they could not use the technology, and they also could not explain it to the clients. So that's why it's so important. So that's why I give you a more idea about why technology data is so important in that area. For me, as you see here, a lot of different areas. For me, it was always interesting to step into different areas. If I look in the medical area, in the healthcare area, or at space technology, or at e-commerce, or in the different kinds of industries or knowledge areas, science areas where I stepped into, it helped me all the time in different areas. So for example, I worked a couple of years in the automotive area, helping Daimler and BMW for getting new digital technologies in there, but it also helped me because the last 2 years I worked in real estate industry. The knowledge from the automotive area helped me to get better in the real estate area. So that's why it's the combination of knowledge. And your knowledge needs to be updated. And if I think to my mother, she started in the 70s, 1970, working in finance, and she worked 30 years. And the knowledge changed a bit. It started with the first computers and the Microsoft Excel and all that stuff, and she had to evolve a bit in the finance area. So she needs to learn more and more. But currently, I think it's getting faster and faster and more dramatic. So every 5 years, we need to learn new stuff. And last week, I threw away some of my study stuff. Normally, I would have kept it. My father kept it for his entire life, his study brochures and all his stuff he has done during his studies. But I have thrown it away because I looked into the study stuff, and it's 20 years ago, the first study, and there was some V model and also Ablaufmodell and different kinds how to do stuff, but it's so old we could not use it anymore. So that's why I was able and thought about, okay, I can throw it away. But on the other side, sometimes it gets staggered up, so you need the basics and the foundation, and then you build on top your knowledge. So that's why it's not always the case that you throw it away. So you need to learn and always reinvent yourself. That's some key for me, learning all the time and reinvent all the time. Because if we look at the industries and all that stuff, it's all about reinvention. It's not about digital transformation, or it's not about digital or working at Facebook or Google and all the colleagues at Axel Springer and so on. It's about reinventing, and for reinvention you need to learn. That's the case. So for me, it helps me all the time, do whatever you want, where you feel you're passionate about, and step into it. And I will give you some more examples about that. If you do something, currently you will do it more exponential, and I have to have a look because not to fail it. Exponential growing possibilities of combining people, knowledge, tools, and components. I think that's the next 15 years, how you do business. And it's exponential because it's growing so fast. If you do one step, and then the second is 2, and then you have 4, 8, 16, it's becoming faster and faster. It's not the normal process anymore. And you need to combine in the future people, that means your colleague all together, you can work more together. You can combine your knowledge, you combine tools, you know the tools sometimes, and you learn new tools which you can combine, and also components. And I will give you some example. If you want to invent something, what do I desire? I want something to give me health recommendation. How would you do that if you want to do health recommendation today? For me, if I have not studied medicine, I have no idea, and I don't care about it. I don't need that, because you know Amazon Alexa or Amazon Echo, you use that stuff. And Amazon Echo, it has a open programmable interface, so an API, which you can develop. If you can read a book, you know how to develop that stuff. And on the other side, you have some Fitbit, you have some device, and this has also an API. And if you have some colleagues who know how to develop an API, you can connect these both services, and you can ask, after a couple of weeks, you can ask, Alexa, what's my blood pressure after I am having a meal? But you have developed that, and you don't need so much knowledge. You only adapt on, you don't have to develop a voice recognition and that super complicated stuff. You just use that stuff. You use the tools and combine it. You don't have to develop and manufacture that wristband and collecting all the data. You just use it and build on top something new. And that's quite easy. Do you know IBM Watson? That's from Jeopardy a couple of years ago, beating and fighting against the human knowledge, and he won the Jeopardy race. And I give you some example. Also, IBM Watson has an open interface, an API. And I've developed something over a couple of days. You can send some text, some written text from some books into the IBM Watson algorithm, and he will give you some psychological profiles if he is has a lot of discipline, if he is, for example, more adventurous and all that stuff. So you send in some texts, and Amazon IBM Watson will give you some psychological profiles. And I've done this also with some speeches of Barack Obama and Bill Gates, and I analyzed a lot of people. I just put in some texts and got the feedback from IBM Watson with the psychological profiles. And so I built in a couple of, over the weekend, a platform for that, and I thought, okay, that's cool stuff, just try it. And now just imagine if we talk about text and some text recognition and get some psychological profiles. If you are a bank robber and you walk into a bank and you say something like, hello, I'm here to steal all your money, please, would you be so kind and yeah, give me all your money. That's not the kind of text how a bank robber should sound like. It has to be more authentic and more realistic. And the interesting thing is, a couple of days later, 4 days later, I took the same text and put that for the film industry. Because with the text recognition and IBM Watson, you can optimize for film actors all the speeches to make them more authentic. I have nothing to do with the film industry. I have nothing to do knowing about how to optimize some speeches of George Clooney or some other film actors. But therefore, they helped me, IBM Watson, and to combine things and thinking about new products and selling this to the film companies. And now imagine there are a couple of more stuff. We have IBM Watson, we have Amazon, we have Tesla, for example. With the vision control, you can use all the cameras, or BMW, or in that case, Daimler. Daimler has opened its API for the cars, and you can access 60 APIs. You can completely control the Mercedes with your mobile phone, and you can develop stuff for that. So, give you a next example, how easy it is. You can see here that's Amazon Alexa or Amazon Echo. On the other side, you have your wristband. You have a pill dispenser, yeah, that's dropping out some pills, and you have the iPad. But in between, if you have some friends who can develop that stuff, you buy that stuff for 1, 2, 3, 400 euro, put that together, you connect to some colleagues with a medical background, and you can develop a Parkinson disease stuff. That's not so complicated. You don't have to study medicine to do that stuff. You combine this, and that gives you more traction in the different areas. And you can see here, in the different areas, you do that in every industry and in every specialization. If you're working in finance, you will do this in finance. If you work in science, in e-commerce, it's in all fields. Some other examples. In space technology, I have nothing to do with space technology, but I've developed with some colleagues here in Munich, in Oberpfaffenhofen, some space telescope, which everybody can use with his mobile phone in the future. You can book some time on the space telescope and you can use it. So that's again the same story. I combined some colleagues, some knowledge, putting together, talking about getting some invest from the European Union and building a space telescope. I'm not a space engineer. I've studied astrophysics, but I'm not a space engineer, but I have some colleagues who have the knowledge and do that stuff. And don't be afraid about big partnerships or that stuff, because Elon Musk has heard about the project, about the space telescope, and he asked us, do you know how to send your space telescope into the orbit? And we mentioned, no, not currently, and he advised us to help us to get the space telescope in orbit. And it was not a colleague of him or some senior manager of SpaceX. No, it was Elon himself. And you don't need to be afraid about talking with Bill Gates or with Elon Musk. If you have something, just try to reach him, ask him, and if he doesn't have time, yeah, then it's okay. But you have tried it, and that's the case. Also, this company, it's Planet.com. They started as a camera manufacturer, and they put the cameras on drones and on satellites, and they make photos. Totally boring. They make photos from the sky. But now they are disrupting other industries because they know how to plant the seeds, and or on the other side where the plants need more water, or in the real estate business where to repair the buildings. No other construction company knows about the situation of a building, but they know because they have the cameras in the sky. So sometimes it doesn't look like you need to change your point of view, how you do and how you learn your things. One additional thing and one last thing is, to everything you do in the future, you have to apply and adopt the artificial intelligence. I'm very confident and really sure that if you do not your stuff in artificial intelligence, some other will do, and he will be better than you. Because currently, if I do something, I can do it on my own and I adapt some tools, but I have some algorithm and some artificial intelligence algorithm who do some stuff millions of times faster and better. And so that's why keep in mind that you have to do and learn about artificial intelligence, because that's really important. And you have to do artificial intelligence in finance, in controlling, in marketing, in science, everywhere you need artificial intelligence in the future. So, are you now afraid of the future? As I come back to the beginning, as a child or as a pupil, as a student, I was always afraid of new things. But what is the worst thing which could happen? From my experience, nothing could happen. The worst thing that could happen is that you will fail or that you do not succeed. But that's not important. I failed so many times. hundreds of times, thousands of times, I failed all the time. And the bad thing was, in the beginning, I was very sad about that. Now I'm not sad about that, because if I fail with the space telescope or with some other projects, yeah, then I fail, I tried it again, I start, I do my best, I will finish it, I try it again, and if it fails, then after a couple of times I make a checkbox, okay, it's done, I failed, and I do something new. And that's the continuous learning, that's continuously reinventing and thinking about. And last but not least, some example, we have the candle. And if I want, or if you would like to improve the candle to make it burning brighter or longer lasting, all that stuff, you think about how to improve the candle. You make a better wax, you make it thicker, you make it longer, you change the ingredients of the candle, but you have to think a bit different. And you have to combine the knowledge from your colleagues, from the tools, from the components, because otherwise you would never invent that one. Thank you very much.